Perfect. Okay, so my plan was to kind of tell you like what's up ahead. Like I'm going to go over the dates and things. Just so you guys kind of like know this Friday we're talking about this subject, this Friday we're doing this. And then I was going to pull up the slideshow that I gave you guys the training to last week since we missed last Friday, and pull it up and literally like walk through it step by step, hear what she came up with, answer questions. I want to make sure everyone's solid on that before we like move on to everything else. So, okay, here comes Brittany. There she is. Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
I was like, this might be the Marina and Brooke show today.
I knew we had Coco Melon meltdown. It's been a thing. Okay.
Okay, no big deal. I understand. Okay, so what I told Marina is I'm gonna give you guys like a quick rundown of the schedule from this point to the end when we're done. And then what we'll do is I'm going to pull up the slides that you guys watched in the training that I gave to y'all last week. And we're just going to go step by step. I want to hear what you guys came up with, where you're stuck, what questions you have. And this one's like just going to be like an open Q&A call. And so, okay, so here's what's coming up. Today is the content outline. Then next week, since we are meeting next Friday, we're going to start talking about like the marketing of things, and then also like what content pieces to show to build that authority, because I know that was a big question you guys had, was like, how do I show social proof? How do I like step into the educator? And so we'll talk about all of that next Friday. The following one is it's more like open coaching. So on the 8th, this is where we're really going to tie up any loose ends that you guys have in like your planning and your content creating and like things like that. We can talk about launches. We can dive back into more marketing, like whatever that looks like. We can do social media audits, whatever you guys want to. The 8th is kind of just going to be a little more open. And then on the 22nd, I got Stephanie Gass, the podcast queen, who's going to come do a training for you guys, since we all pretty much established one way or the other podcast was mostly the preference. And so I'm going to have her come in and she's going to do an awesome training, and she's really good for a lot of different things. So not just podcasts, but also a little bit of mindset, strategy, things like that. So there's that. And then on the 29th, which is our last time we'll meet, is like kind of like a graduation style, like putting it all together, thing. And so I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. But anyway, so the 29th would just be like a fun last chance to meet up. And then Marina, we can schedule your coaching session to either happen sometime in April or sometime in May. You can pick that. Okay. All right. I think that's everything there. So let me share my screen and pull up Canva real quick. Let me get to it first. Okay, I'm waiting on this top bar to move. There we go. Nope. Oh, Zoom. You would think they would move their little sidebar over, and they never do. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go through this, and I want to hear kind of what you guys came up with. So, okay, let's start here because I get a lot of questions. I also told you I was going to give you a PDF, and I stood you up, and I apologize. I will get that PDF to you guys super, super quick, but I wanted to wait till you guys were on this call so I could kind of like walk through this and tell you what I've used in the past versus what I use right now. So Brittany, I gave you a Kajabi link a couple weeks ago, but I have actually left Kajabi and I have moved to Thrivecart. And the reason why is Thrivecart is a one-time pay and you have it for life. And then you can get, and then it's a one-time pay for the learn. So you get the Thrivecart, it's checkout systems. It integrates with like your website and things like that. And so you pay, I think it's like $400 something one time and you have it for life. You can make as many products you want to, checkout pages. They're really good too for when people have like workshops they want to sell out. Literally, you can make your own page, I mean, it's amazing. So ThriveCard
Awesome.
is what I use. I do have a link for ThriveCard. I will give that to you guys because I do think it saves you money through the link. I don't think there's any way to save money without having someone's link. So I'll get that to you guys. But then it also has an optional upsell where you guys can get the course or membership area or whatever, which you guys have now seen because you guys are members of the Blueprint program. So you guys kind of already get to see what that looks like. For my sales process, that's a whole nother training. We can talk about that later. Course platform, I just told you guys, is ThriveCart. Now so is my checkout, so is everything else. And the email platform, so I'm still using Flowdesk. I was thinking about getting upgrading to the next best thing. Y'all, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm sticking with Flowdesk for now. Why not? It's a great deal and everybody's already over there. So, okay. Any specific questions though you guys have about this before I turn this into like PDF style and kind of show you what my recommendations would be?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, let's dive into the good stuff then. So outlining your offer, how did this go?
Well,
Good.
yeah.
Marina, did it help you a little bit too with like thinking about the mentorship outline at all?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm curious, Marina, I'm going to ask you first. Did you come up with something to call it?
No.
Okay.
So it's been like, I've been working on it and I need to focus a lot more to like actually find a name and everything, but we've been moving and there's still
Oh, yeah.
boxes.
No, you're
So
good.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, that is definitely a lot. Okay. What about, okay, Brittany, what did you come up with? Did you name your thing?
Yes, we have, I have a newborn workshop with another photographer coming up and we called it the Newborn Academy. And so I just kind of stuck with that and then I was going to change the tagline. Do you think that's an okay idea?
I mean, as long as the other photographer's okay with it, then I think that's okay.
Well,
The other thing too is you want to make sure that I would ask myself two things. One, am I ever going to do another newborn workshop again with someone else to where there's going to be brand confusion, right? And then the other thing would be, is the Newborn Academy specific enough? Because when I think Newborn Academy, I'm just going to tell you, when I think Newborn Academy, I automatically, anytime I hear academy, I assume this is like a school from start to finish. So everything I'd want to know about newborns is wrapped up in your course. Is that
it
true?
should be. Yeah, it should be.
Okay, perfect. Then yes, then I would say that you could do that. We could also play around with some additional options just so that you're like solid on the name. But I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely open for other names, but I was just being really uncreative and it took us long enough to come up with that idea. So
I love it. Well, the names is like the one thing, like I love coming up with names. You can ask anybody. I name a lot of babies around here too, because I love names, especially when they're like, it has to be this letter or these initials. I'm like, I got you. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about either tagline or promise. Did y'all come up, I hope at least, with what is your promised outcome? I'd love to hear that. Brittany, do you want to go first?
Sure, let me find it on my phone. Okay, so my promised outcome: learn new posing, lighting, wrapping, and soothing baby to enhance your images, bring a smoother flow to your sessions, and feel more confident than ever.
Will you type that into the chat and send it to me so I can read it? I'm so visual. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't. Okay, there we go. And then where's the chat?
There should be a little.
I was in full screen, and so I just didn't know like.
Gotcha.
What?
Sorry, I'm trying not to get distracted by the client text I just got. Sorry.
Is it a good one?
No, it's have you looked at the forecast for next week? No, because it's Oklahoma and it changes every 24 hours.
Yeah. I don't look at it until the day of.
Yeah, and she's asking me about rain. I'm like, can you just give it 48 hours? It's gonna move right over us. I promise you. So
exactly.
Anyway, she's like, there's supposed to be, what'd she say? Rain and wind. Oh, darn the luck. Okay. Let me see. All right. Okay, learn new posing, lighting, wrapping, and soothing baby to enhance your images, bring a smoother flow to your sessions, and feel more confident than ever. Okay, I wonder if we can condense this a little bit. Now, this whole thing, I think you can absolutely, is this the promised outcome?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, I was stuck on a tagline. You're fine. I still think we could condense it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think this one sentence definitely on a sales page for sure. But I'm wondering if we couldn't condense it just a little bit so it sticks in someone's mind a little bit longer. Let me
Did you
put
want
it on-
tagline or did you want promised outcome? Sorry,
I think I said promised outcome because I knew
here's my
Yeah.
tagline. If
yeah,
that
let's
helps.
see that. The newborn photographer's guide to upgrade your lifestyle newborn session workflow. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
That's great. I like that a
Yay.
lot. And I like that your promised outcome literally tells me what I'm going to learn. Posing,
Okay.
lighting, wrapping, and soothing baby. Now, one question I have is, are you touching the editing piece at all?
I was gonna think maybe that as a bonus because editing is not like I'm a one-trick pony. Like I can't do anything outside of what I can do, you know? And so maybe as a bonus, like this is what I do, but
Okay.
I can't be like, this is how you get a different effect. So I wasn't
Okay.
gonna really touch on that.
So whenever you create your sales page for this, or if you
Mhm.
ever do like when you take your sales page and you turn it into like marketing
Uh-huh.
pieces and you have like Instagram stories or like Facebook posts or whatever, I want you to like have frequently asked questions, and one of your
Uh-huh.
questions needs to touch on editing. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah. But other than that, that looks really good. Okay. Hi. Look, everybody's joining. Y'all should totally take a screenshot and be like, see,
Oh.
network and have kids. I love it. So cute. Hi. So cute. Oh, he's precious. Okay. All right. So Marina, let's talk about promised outcome for you.
So it's kind of the same as the everything else. I feel like I've written stuff down, but I don't have like a concrete like
Hey, no.
phrase like Brittany.
That's okay.
I've been doing this for a while though, so like keep in mind that I've been working on this for a lot, like months already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what have you loosely pieced together? Like just, it doesn't have to be pretty, but what have you loosely pieced together?
So kind of the promised outcome is them having the confidence and the mindset to figure out who they're serving and serve them to the best of their abilities, and not have to do what they like, all the different things that they think that they have to be doing, but the one thing that really lights them on fire so that they can serve their clients better.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, my allergies are like, everywhere. Okay. So so walk me through this then, Marina. Let's work a little bit backwards for you. What are the items that you are specifically covering? And I know we had a coaching call about this. So what did you decide are like, these are the main things I'm going to cover during this mentorship?
So definitely their like niche and ideal client, like who they want to serve and like what they want to focus on. Finding that and finding their like voice in that, I guess, and like their who they are as a photographer and why that niche speaks to them and why that is important to them. Because I do feel like that makes a difference. And like if it's something that you lights your soul on fire, it's going to come across like in your session. So I think that like helping them figure that out.
Okay.
And having the confidence to do that and say no to everything else and say, you know, this is what I do and you take it or leave it kind of a thing, but still booking enough to, you know, pay their bills and make a profit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's always the biggest thing, you know, is well, how am I gonna actually make money if I'm saying no to all these other clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're going to tackle that mindset, right? And that's so common. We all think that. I even think that sometimes when I'm like, should I like really call out like just family photographers to work with in the blueprint and like let everybody else just kind of like fall to the wayside? Not that I can't help everyone. I mean, I can, but there's just certain people that receive it better, I feel like. And so, yeah, so even I have to talk myself up that mindset ledge too. Okay, so what I'm gathering is that you are getting a new-ish photographer that's coming to you. Yes, she's kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything, but she has like literally like there's no clarity. There's no voice. There's nothing about her. There's no 10% edge, which is what you were explaining. So that's actually like what you call it, the 10% edge. And so what I wrote down based on what you told me, and then maybe we can craft this into like a promised outcome, is you're tackling their niche, discovering who that is, who their ideal client is, and what avenue of photography really lights them up so that they can niche. So that's the first thing. Then you're pulling from that, what is their 10% edge? Like, what is the thing that they have inside them that makes them different than other photographers? And then how to communicate that, like how to communicate both in marketing and during the process with their ideal client. And a big promise, and I think this has to be in here somewhere, is how to say no to everything else, right? And have that confidence to move forward in everything that we covered. Am I good? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
it.
So I think what you're doing, I think like one of your promises here, and I just like to mess around with words, is okay, let me ask you this. For example, okay, so I'm looking at Brittany's little tagline because she has the newborn photographer. So who are we speaking to? Or do we want to say a beginner photographer, a blank photographer? Like, who is that person? How can we describe them to where they know we're talking to them?
I don't know. I think it's definitely,
because I know you don't want to use the word beginner, right?
yeah, because
Okay.
it's definitely someone that like knows their way around their camera, knows their editing, like that sort of thing. But it's the business side that's kind of lacking, and they're not really sure why they're not booking as much as they want, or they're booking stuff that they don't like. Because that was me.
Let me see. I thought
Like,
about
I
the
don't
phrase.
know.
I thought about the phrase like a newly established photographer, because it's not like back at the basics. But I wonder if maybe we don't start with the subject, we start with the outcome. Okay, learn. We don't
What
even
about
have to.
Did you say the word aspiring? Did you say that? Or is that too beginner
I
sounding?
think it's still too beginner for her.
Beginner?
Yeah. Unless you were like an aspiring full-time photographer, you know what I'm saying? Like someone that has the goal to do this full-time, that speaks to them. And that could be anybody really. So that's an option. I'm going to flip it and I'm going to start without saying that, like learn how to fill in the blank, because you can do that too. Like you don't have to just have like the person's phrase. So let me think about this for just a second. When you name this, Marina, just as a side note, you should do something really fun that's related to your brand, whether that's like Texas style or, you know what I'm saying? Like pulling words that really resonate with your brand.
Okay.
Sorry, this is going to be real silent on the replay, but I have to think about this in my head.
I feel like this is always my like biggest struggle is finding the words, the names for things and the words. Or condensing it because I have a lot of words.
Yeah, that's always hard too. I'm gonna have to play around with this because this is like rough draft stuff too. Okay. And okay, I will condense this later, but I've got like a couple things that I'm like, yes, we have to say that. And at the end, it will say, and how to confidently say no to everything else. So I just have to fill in the words that make sense and are straight to the point. And then, because like I said, it's just an overview. It's like, in this mentorship, we will, or you will, and then it's like bam, 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 right? So we can do all that later. Okay, I'm gonna send this through the chat. Please don't read it. Like, it's just notes. Okay. All right. So we got that down. So now talk to me. Did you guys kind of rough draft out your lessons, your modules? That's kind of what I want to talk about. To see if there's anything that I would rearrange. So Brittany, what modules did you come up with? And lessons. You can like literally say, I came up with this module and here's the lessons. This module, here's lessons.
You want me to send it into the chat since you're
Sure, yeah.
okay. And I talked to my videographer yesterday to kind of get an idea of what he was going to do. Because it didn't send with the tabs on it. Okay.
That's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So these are the lessons and the modules. So the module 1 is setup.
Okay.
Module 2 is wrapping. Module 3 is lighting. 4 is posing. And then 5 is like after the session kind of thing.
Okay, so in setup, you have planning, prepping client, what to bring, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think all that looks good. In the planning and like a short condensed version, what are you going over with planning? What does planning consist of?
Good question. Let me go look. Oh, okay. So like when to schedule them,
Okay.
like some things to like avoiding the 10-day mark, what happens after 3 weeks. So trying to do it like 7 to 10, 20 days.
Okay.
Things that the parents should avoid doing, like putting them on a schedule that day, having the parents turning up I guess that's a parent prep.
Can I ask you
what
a
kind
question?
of lenses? Yeah.
Okay, so for planning, do you ever, I get this question a lot, and I don't think there's one right way to do this, but you use Irisworks, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what I thought. We both use Irisworks. So my question is, are you going to teach your process of how do you book people for newborn sessions? Like, do you schedule their due date, and then like you guys like how do they get on your calendar? How far in advance? Let's say someone is 3 months pregnant, they for sure know they need a newborn session, so they book that early. How does that work? Do you know how many, and this is the business side of me kicking in, Brittany. So like, it's fine, but like I get asked this all the time, and I'm about to start dealing with it too in my studio, because I'm trying to do like mainly just studio work moving forward. And so what I told people was, know exactly how many newborn sessions in a week you can do. And and I'm talking like you have to play at a bare minimum, because if you start getting a bunch of moms who start having babies super early, like you know what I mean? Like you're not going to have enough space. So I want you to talk about that somewhere in here, or make it a bonus training.
Okay. So I was going to do, so I know I originally said I was going to be podcasts, but I do eventually want to do podcasts, but I don't think I want to do podcasts for this. I've been looking, and I think I might go the YouTube route.
Okay.
Anyways, and one of the things I was thinking about doing is showing my process, like booking process or whatever on for like booking newborns or family sessions or whatever as a YouTube video, and then
Okay.
also including those like links to these things in
Okay.
my, does that
Yes.
work?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. As long as when someone like purchases your course, it's convenient for them. So same thing with
Mhm.
like my podcast. There's probably like a bunch of different podcasts we could link up in the Blueprint program for people, just for a quick link to listen to. It's just there's so many, we just don't have the time of day to work backwards. So yes, I
Yeah.
would do that.
Okay.
Also, you reminded me, I just hired a sales coach for myself because it's a long story, but basically she's already like increased my confidence in 5 days of working with her. And I'm like, you are
Ooh.
gold. Yeah. So she knows everybody. And so the reason I brought her up is I bet you I can find someone to come in that does specialize in YouTube and at least give us
Uh-huh.
an overview rundown, like a cool
Okay.
training. And so I'm gonna try to do that for you.
Okay.
So it's just hard doing it for like I have people in mind, but the people that I have in mind are not available for like the next 3 months. That's not going to help us. So I will
No.
reach out to her and I will see who she has. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Okay. So we went through setup, we got planning, prepping client, what to bring. Wrapping and soothing pretty much makes sense to me. I'm assuming like you're literally like visually teaching them how to wrap and soothe babies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Lighting, you're talking about your basics, your natural light, your added light. I may need your help on that because I got to figure out brand new studio lighting in this space. And then you've got baby posing, family posing, sibling posing, all the posing,
Yeah.
posing. And then after the session. So what are we talking about after the session? What really fits in that module?
I think it's just my catch-all. Let me look. I have all my notes. Nope, I don't have anything on my notes for after session. Probably like gallery delivery, how to upsell.
Okay.
Maybe I don't really do products very often, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to speak to that.
That's okay. Perfect.
Yeah, maybe like yeah.
One thing you could think about doing is once you like launch this, you could purposely like maybe like in the first 30 days host a Q&A and
Mhm.
answer questions live, and you could throw that in like its own module. So like live Q&As,
Oh,
just that
yeah.
could be your catch-all, right?
That's
And
a
then
really
do
good idea.
maybe just do Q&As like either once a month or once a quarter, like just for a little bit, just as you're getting new students in there.
Mhm.
And that way you're covering your bases, you're figuring out like, did I leave something out? Do I need to create a new lesson? Or could I just
Mhm.
cover it in Q&As? And that's just kind of an added bonus. I'm one of those people where I will watch all these strategy calls back, like if I'm the student, because I
Mhm.
learned so much just from listening to what other people are saying.
Yeah.
So I would do that.
Oh, by
Okay.
the way, this is
Yes.
totally off topic, but I just wanted to say that after, last fall we worked on my mini session guide and like revamped it and all that. All of a sudden, like it's just like starting to roll in, and it's like coming like at least once a week I'm getting a purchase.
That's awesome.
But it took forever. It took forever for it to happen, but it's going now. And I don't have to do anything.
Have you advertised it at all?
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Not
I know
since
that
I did. Like not since the
well, I
fall.
know seasonally, like that's what's in, right? That's what people
Yeah.
are trying to do to get clients in the door. So yeah. So anyway, well, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. I have like
Okay.
a blog post or something. It's probably what it is.
Probably so. That's very smart. But I'm glad you're seeing that. That's awesome.
So
Love
shout out,
it.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Marina, what do you have? What have you thought about?
So I didn't really get this far, but I'm gonna work on that today and tomorrow that my husband can take the baby.
Okay, cool. Do not swallow this, okay? Hold on. It's mouthwash. Oh my gosh, that smells delightful. Do not run with that. Bubblegum mouthwash. Yum. Okay. What questions, Marina, do you have off the top of your head? Literally anything at this point. Anything you got.
I guess it's just it'll be different as a mentorship just because it's not necessarily as much of like modules and like lessons.
Yeah.
So I guess how would you suggest going about that?
Okay. Yeah. So, in essence, you still, I think of modules as the bullet points, right? And so there's still, so like we already came up with yours, like that's literally what we just talked about. So it's the niche and
Mhm.
who their ideal client is. I feel like that kind of goes together. Then you're talking about, okay, now that I know, like you said, oh, you love like couples, like you want to do engagements and weddings. Awesome. Now let's like dig into you and figure out that whole 10% edge thing. What is it about you that would connect to this particular ideal client and niche, right? So you're working your way down. And then at the end, you're really hitting on throughout the whole thing, you're hitting on those mindset issues as they come up, the questions, the hesitations. And then you're like putting it all together in a bow for them of like, based like here's what you do, so here's some like like here's how you could show up on social media, right? Here are the talking points for you, and then like here's what I do, so you're going to use you as an example, like here's what I talk about in my business and why it relates so well to my people and stuff like that. So so you have those bullet points, and they do kind of go in an order if you think about it. Like we can't start at how to say no to everything else when we don't even know like what they're focused on, and it's that simple. So it's just knowing like, hey, when I sit down with this person, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is this, and then naturally once we figure that out and check it off the list, then we're talking about these things during our mentorship. Does that help?
Yeah, that does.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's literally just breaking it down. Like it's you taking 4 note cards. What are the 4 note cards you guys are talking about? So,
Okay.
and then you know how on your coaching call we talked about how you, what's the word? Oh, how I told you like the cool thing would be if you could like have a printed workbook for them, right? So like they
Mhm.
don't have to worry about bringing their own notebook, and that's cool if they do too. But like that's how you know what order. Like those are like the talking points, like the guide, if you will. So instead
Mhm.
of a course, you could think of like this guide, this workbook paired with like these talking points and things like that. So does that make it a little more simple since it's not digital?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
Yeah,
I just
Brittany.
like, because
Yeah.
that sounds like something similar to what I've been just doing, like kind of like off the cuff. I've been doing those one-on-one strategy calls, but mine have been virtual. And like I went in with no plan, which is not a great idea, but I've done like 10 now, and I'm finding that we talk about the same thing every single time. And so I'm able, like what she was saying, like you do it might be different every time you talk about it, but you do have those bullet points. Like everyone wants to talk about their niche and ideal client and like how they get those clients. And so you know, you'll start, I forgot where I was going with that topic. I forgot where I started. So
Okay.
anyways, yeah,
No,
it
but
sounds
that
like
makes
what I was
sense.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
you will
love
see
it.
that it starts to be, it's the same almost.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, another question for you, Marina. Have you decided if you want, like, in what time capacity you're planning on doing these? And it doesn't mean like, hey, these are going to be 60 minutes, and then when the hour's up, I'm just walking off. Like, it's not that, but it's like, have you thought about maybe how long it's going to take you guys to dive into each thing? It's totally up to you, but
Like for each section or like,
no, just like all in all, like, are you wanting this to be like a one-time sit down type of mentorship where you're going to cover all 4 things in one setting? Or are you planning on this being like a continuous type of a mentorship, like a coaching?
so yeah. So I think my initial thought was to have like a 1 hour, like one-on-one mentorship, and then kind of have continuous support for like a limited amount of time,
Yep.
where they can like either email me, or I don't want to do text because then they'll have that forever, but probably email or like
You could do
Voxer.
Voxer.
something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the
So
best thing.
something
So
like that.
okay, so can I ask y'all a question? I know this is y'all's coaching call, but is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah.
I am thinking about but just like in addition to, I'm thinking about creating Voxer access to where like you purchase it as you need it, just like literally like if you are just having a really tough
like
season, or if you're like trying to pivot your business, or like you're really stuck on marketing and you just like want me in your pocket for a week at a time. I was thinking about having that as like just a like I want that, and then it's just like ongoing communication for a few days with me back and forth, and you can buy as many as you want. It's just up to you. Is that something that would pique your interest, or is that something that you personally are like, I would never do that?
It sounds like I worked with a copywriter, and she has a copywriter on call, and basically we just like went back and forth on Voxer, working on my copy like that. So it wasn't like but yeah, it sounds similar, and that's exactly what I wanted, because I didn't want to have like a meeting with her, but I liked the whole, like, it took like 2 weeks to get it done, so we just went back and forth like that. So I would totally be interested in something like that if I
Cool.
had like
Marina,
a topic in mind.
Yeah, I'm curious what you would say. Would that interest you at all?
Yeah, I feel like it would be helpful because it's coaching, but it's not on a set time where you have to like make time to sit down,
And that's
you know.
my hang up. That is my hang up. So what I'm thinking is like how that would just be way more accessible instead of like, oh, I'm not available at that time. Like there's so much back and forth. And sometimes I don't need 60 minutes to get my point across to someone. I just need like to be back and forth for a couple days. Like maybe it's, and it's not like, okay, you're going to hear back from me one time each day for 5 days. Like it's not like that, but it's just so much easier as a mom to be able to say like, hey, I will answer your question. I will get back to you like during this time frame. And sometimes like late at night, I get my best ideas. So it would just be so much easier to be able to like coach people on and off throughout the day. I could be like driving school pickup line, so much easier than being dead set on this hour. Okay. Sorry. That was a side note, but like, that's my style. I enjoy the back and forth talking. My Voxer's blowing up right now because I'm always in Voxer. So anyway, okay. Awesome. All right. Good to know. So back to Voxer, Marina. I would do something like that to where they maybe get access to you for like a week later as they're processing everything, or maybe as needed for the next 30 days. And it doesn't mean you just have to be really careful, because you don't want that person to just think, oh, I can blow her up 8 hours a day, all day for 30 days. So just make sure that you're like, I'm here like to answer questions. And if it's easier than sending an email, pop over to Voxer. We can kind of talk back and forth a little bit about what that is. And then, most people just ask simple questions, right? Like Brittany, I love using Brittany as an example because she asks a lot of questions, but a lot of times her questions are so easy to answer. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. So yeah, she's not like, okay, can you give me a strategy for X, Y, and Z? And like, let's just talk about it.
No, you're really good at setting your boundaries. So I think I did in the beginning ask a question. You're like, if you want me to answer that, we can set up a strategy call. And I was like, way to set your boundaries. Like that was really amazing. And so I was like, yeah, like it was like inspirational almost. So yeah, anyways.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I'm always worried that I'm like going to offend someone in that moment. And it's not that I'm trying to, it's just like, I realize how mad I would be if I invested in someone, but they're over here helping what's her face for free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It would get under your skin. Yeah. So I don't do it necessarily for myself, but for everybody else that like invests in stuff. That's why I have a hard time doing trainings in the big group, because I'm like, I don't want to give you guys gold, and you know what I mean? And so I struggle with that a lot. But anyway, back to y'all. Okay, Marina, what other questions did you have, just kind of like piecing all this together? Is there anything else missing for you other than just needing some time to kind of work on it?
I'm sure it'll come up as I'm working on it, so I'll definitely write all those down. Because yeah, right now I feel like we put a lot of stuff to paper on our coaching call, and I feel like now I have to like really break it down and like organize it, and then as I'm doing that, I'm sure other stuff will come up. So
okay, cool. Okay, I have a really quick follow-up question for you, and then we'll move on to Brittany. I know one of the homework pieces I gave you was to do one of these eventually for like one of your local like photographers that you had thought of somebody. Have you approached them, or have you picked that person out that you're eventually going to approach?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of cool because like I had been thinking about a couple people and like it just didn't, I don't know, there was just something where I was like, it just didn't feel right. And so I was like, well, like I kind of prayed about it and I was like, Lord, like whoever you want me to bless, like let it be obvious and let me feel like that peace about like, yes, it's this person. And literally, I think it was a couple days ago, this person that I had not even thought about, um, posted on her stories looking for anyone that does mentorships. And like I just at first just like skipped over it and I was like, she's not looking for me, like, but it kept bugging me. And so I finally was like, well, whatever. Like, and so it was like a question box. And so I responded and I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to start offering these soon. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'd be so interested and like just so excited. And I was like, okay, cool. So like I kind of told her about it and like there was just something where I was like, it just felt right with her. And I've actually, when all the lockdowns happened, I actually did like a Zoom intro to photography, like camera settings and stuff. And she was part of that. And so I've already worked with her. I know she's good. I know she like actually follows through and like works on the stuff that you tell her to work on.
Mhm.
So it just kind of like worked out. So
Oh, I love that so much. That is awesome. And yeah, of course, God comes through and is like, uh-oh, you passed her. Reverse, reverse.
Go back.
literally just like she
Yeah,
posted
that
something else on
part.
her story the next day and I was like, wait, let me like go back and it was still there and I was like, okay, I guess.
I love it. And like I said, for you, because I know we're still in this, the imposter syndrome in the education side, y'all, is way worse than it ever
Huge.
is. Yeah, like it's way worse, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell y'all now, anybody that offers anything similar to you that does not lift you up in any kind of way, just press mute. Seriously, because I literally was talking to Alyssa Hollis about this yesterday. I won't give you names, but it was just kind of like a, does this person make you feel like everything you do is not good enough kind of a feeling? And then I'm like, do people see that, or is it just the educators who are like, how does this person live 24/7 in their stories and still like tend to the rest of their life? Like, I don't understand that. And so we just kind of have like an open conversation about how like we're the only two that don't have each other muted. Everybody else, I don't know. Like, I guess there's a couple of photographers that have started podcasts recently. I wouldn't have a clue, because if I start going down that rabbit hole, then I'm gonna be like, oh, well, then mine sucks. I'm not a good podcaster. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here, we're like 2 days away from hitting 250,000 downloads, and I would still be telling myself, like, I don't need to do this. Like, I need to shut my programs down. I'm not good enough. And so I just want y'all to know there's no amount of results that will ever get you out of imposter syndrome. The only thing that gets you out of imposter syndrome is to not see it. That's it. Like, that's the secret. And so I just don't have the capacity to follow educators. I just can't. Like, I want to support people, and I don't have everybody muted, but like the people I used to interact with a lot, who I thought there was a genuine friendship, and then turns out, nope, just got my platform completely like used. I'm like, okay, back to staying in my lane. Like, I just can't do that. So anyway, so I just want y'all to know, like, anybody that is doing something remotely close to you, it might be in your best interest while you're in creation mode and like launching mode to not pay attention to what they're doing, because you will second guess yourself, I promise. So anyway, there's that. Okay, Brittany, your turn. What questions do you have? I had to like get back on track. Like, where are we at? Okay, I'm good.
I love when things go off on tangents. It's my favorite.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad.
You know what? I don't think my question, because are we talking about the outlining and stuff like that still? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I mean, literally anything. The last thing I was going to talk to you guys was I was going to scroll through to pricing. I was just curious if you guys have thought about pricing.
I don't have any questions about it, because I think right now I just have to start kind of writing, like putting all my notes in order.
Yeah.
And then working with my videographer, and this part, like the creation part, is I don't know, either I'm not far enough into it to know what I have questions about, or I just have to do it now.
Yeah, I think
think
it's
it's
a
that.
little bit of both. And the other thing I was gonna say too was the creation is literally like the most work. It's the heaviest step ever.
Mhm.
And then once you have it and you're like, okay, it's done. Like I'm ready to start offering mentorships. I'm ready to start booking for this. I'm ready to start selling out my course. It gets a lot easier. So this is the major load where you feel like, oh my gosh, like, does this ever end? I mean, I've done this so many times, I can't even begin to tell you. But it does get easier. It's just like getting it done, which is why I tell y'all, start with the outline,
Mhm.
then move to a Google Doc, or like get your post-it notes out, like map the whole thing out. And then it literally is just making yourself a schedule. And this is what I do. I get a Google Doc, I write out all my modules, all my lessons, and then I go through and I color highlight them as I I make slides first. So like
Mhm.
Marina, for you, you could just
Yeah, okay.
outline it. You could make your guide book. So maybe, hey, I'm going to work on this particular like 2 or 3 pages of my guide on this one thing. Same thing. Okay. You do like the creation first and the recording is last. So you get everything ready and then you actually like sit down and then you record and then you can upload the video, and it's just tech after that, you know? And then
I
when
don't
you're
have to do any of my tech part, which is going to be awesome.
okay, well, I love that.
Woo!
Yay, that's
For
good.
this one, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the tech questions are way easier to answer. Like once I know, like, what are you using? What are you
Mhm.
trying to put together? Like all of that, so much easier to have like go-to tutorials. But we don't need to pull the cart before the horse. Like we've got to get this going. But I want y'all to know it is March 18th. I want you guys to either know exactly when you're going to launch this baby out into the world, or I want you to have already done that by the time we meet on April 29th. So I think where we're at right now, I don't think anybody's going to be ready to launch it before April 29th. Okay. I think we're all good. We can all relate to that. But by the end, I don't want anyone to be like, I'm behind, I'm not ready. Like, I want y'all to be like, I'm pretty confident. Like, let's launch this so that I can like give you guys that support. And by then you guys will know, like, I'm already building my authority in this area. I already know how to market and launch this and price this and all those things. So hopefully that's a little like kick in the butt to be like, okay, we got to do this. Now, Brittany, that being said, I know you have a videographer. So if that's not going to happen by April 29th, that's not what I'm talking about necessarily. But I just want you to like have I want it to be ready to shoot is what I'm basically saying.
April 19th is our shoot date. And then after that, it's in his hands to make, because he's going to make the intros, outro, all that stuff and put my voice on it. So after April 19th, my part is done until I get the videos back.
I love it. Yay.
So.
Okay, that's the deal. I love it. Okay, well, you guys have plenty of homework to do. I'm not giving you anything new. We're meeting in 1 week, so you guys have an additional week to get all of this done. Yes, I'll come right back to you, Brittany. Next Friday, we're going to meet and we're going to start talking about the marketing piece, the authority content. I'm going to try to get us a YouTube person on April 8th instead of just like doing 2 weeks of the same thing. If I can't, I'll see what I can put together, but that's going to be my goal. I've got it right here to go talk to her in just a second. But yeah, so next Friday we meet again. So 1 week this time. So yes. Did you have a question, Brittany?
Did you say we were going to talk about pricing, or just ask pricing questions?
Just ask me pricing when you get there. If you guys don't feel confident, that may need to be the last step that you do.
Okay.
And that's okay too. That's okay too. You can ask me anytime. So.
Okay. Whenever I heard on the recording, you said your first thought for Amanda was to charge like $1,500 or something like that.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. So I was looking at the Milky Way retreat. Have y'all heard of that one? It's like a virtual online, and I guess mine would be kind of similar, but there's just a bunch of photographers teaching a bunch of different stuff, and it's only like $3.99.
But
you know what I mean?
That's because she already got to celebrity status before they ever had anything. And so I'm talking like they have hundreds of thousands of people in their audience.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, they're making a lot more money than the average Joe. And that's something else you have to take into consideration. Definitely for your course, depending on what's in it. And again, I always think about it like this. If I'm pricing this, and I know that this person, as soon as they learn everything and they go apply it, they can easily charge this amount for a session, and it's going to take them X amount of sessions to pay this off. I kind of think about it like that, because then it makes it easier to kind of like understand. But I'm also not going to judge any of your pricing, guys. There are so many coaches that started at like $75 a call.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere. So I just don't want y'all to lowball yourself so much and get yourself in like the low end to where it's not worth it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think definitely like minimum for everybody. I can't say everybody, but like course wise, I would say like 300 and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just feels really hard because if they're like, oh, well, why don't I just go to them and buy their course and I could, you know what I mean? It's just like,
well, do they want to learn from
it's
Brittany, or do they want to learn from the Milky Way?
Good point, Brooke. Good point.
Okay. People look at the blueprint and they're like, I can't afford that. I'm like, you can't afford $207 a month. You can't. I bet you could. I bet you could come in 30 days and I can have you make $1,000 if you really apply yourself. But people don't think about it like that. It's, I don't trust myself. So, okay, never mind. I'm going to go buy this $97 bundle course with all those stupid mini courses that nobody like tells you anything good in. And then they're going to be like, well, that was a waste of $100. And I could have just bought this one thing and had these. And so trust me, people do it in photography all the time. They look at your prices, they think you're out of their budget, they go to a cheaper one, they get burned, they come back and hire you. Same thing. It's a mindset thing.
Okay.
My biggest competitor, I literally talked myself off the ledge this morning in the shower. I found out that my competitor is charging a quarter of what I'm charging for sessions. Like, she's been in the game for 30 years and everybody's using her right now. And it's because she's charging this much. Okay. No, I'm good. I'll wait
for her.
Yeah, I'll wait for the 10 people that'll, hire me for my prices. Cause I'm not going to I'm not going to cheapen myself just to get customers. You know what I mean? Like military, who usually have the best excuse in the house of like why they can't afford it, are the same people who save up and come use me. So anyway, it really rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you only charging that much or that little? So
I guess if you think about it in the same way as photography, like I charge more than some people in the area, right? And so I don't ask myself, why do I charge less to compete with them? Because I'm like, they want to work with me, they're going to work with me, you know? And so I guess it just needs to be the same.
It's the same
mindset. It's really hard. It is.
And that's where the relationships come in, though, is a lot of those people that charge like really low prices for anything that they do, or even people who are like way in the high end and people are highly disappointed after they like take that mentorship. I've heard that story 1,000 times too. I think the game changer is the relationship that you have in between. It's when they started following you, when they came into your community, when they listened to your podcast, when they started your YouTube channel, up until they become like a paid student. And then it makes it feel like, duh, like I've already gotten all this value from you just from talking to you. And then that makes me want to jump into your paid stuff. How many times have we heard that with me, right? Like I listened to your podcast and finally decided this girl, like she's got to have a good program. Like I'm jumping in. So it's all a mindset thing. So, and it's always mindset. It's always going to be your mindset. I'm thinking about getting a mindset coach to come into the Blueprint and do a session with us.
Ooh, I like
That'd
it.
be cool.
I think we all need the tissues and the breakthroughs and yeah. So,
right.
yeah. Okay, let me stop recording.